Sit up in the mount if I cannot get my thighs underneath his elbows, okay? I'll never come up to this position when his elbows are down because my hips are loaded on top of his. He can buck me and throw me off, okay? Plus, it's easier for him to do his escapes from this position. So anytime his elbows are to his body, I'm gonna keep my hips low and I'm gonna drive into him, okay? Now from this position, if I want to come to the top, and he's keeping his elbows in tight, I'm going to cup his head like this, so he can't move away. And then I'm going to just start driving my knees up underneath his elbows. Now once I get his elbows separated from his body and onto my thighs, now I can sit up in this position. Okay, once I'm sitting here, I want to keep my weight back. I want to sit back this way. I don't want to lean forward. If I'm leaning forward and he bucks, he's going to throw me forward. So here, he bucks, buck. He ain't going nowhere, see? I'm just riding him like a horse, okay? I want to make sure that I keep my thighs underneath his elbows. If for some reason his elbows get back here, I'm going right back to this position, okay? I want to work my way back up. I start grabbing his head, and I start driving my legs back under his elbows, and then I sit back. Notice that my weight is mostly on my butt, sitting straight down on him. My legs are light, okay? I'm just kind of hovering over the top of him. Okay, now from this position, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab his wrist, and I'm just going to grab it, thumb down, grab his wrist, and I'm going to push his wrist to the mat like this. And sometimes they will just stay here in this position on their back. If they do, I'm going to hold his wrist, like try to pull it back. It's kind of pinned here. Okay, once I do that, my elbow is going to come right next to his head. Okay, I'm going to put my head right on top of his arm and pin it more. And then I'm going to grab it with this wrist. Notice my hand is pinning his elbow to the mat. Now I'm going to come up and lock my own wrist. My thumbs are I got the monkey grips on him. I'm going to bring his elbow tight to him, and I'm just gonna wipe it back. Notice that I didn't even lift my elbows off the ground. I'm just wiping it back. Okay. So again, I'm in the low mount. I'm going to cup his head, and I can even twist it to one side or the other, but I'm going to just bring my legs underneath him. I'm going to sit up, and I'm postured back. Notice that my alignment is sitting back this way. I don't want to bring my head in front of my hips. I want to be back here. And I can even control his wrist here, you know, that way his arms aren't flailing around. I can control him. As soon as I feel one side, it doesn't matter. You feel one side or the other, you drive it to the mat. Okay, once you do, I lock my arm out, so it's going to be hard for him to move it. Then I'll start driving back down to the low mount, and I bring my elbow right next to his ear. My hand comes and pins his elbow to the mat. I grab his wrist, and then I grab my own wrist. I bring it tight, and I just wipe it back. Okay? Last time. Low mount, cup his head. I start driving my knees underneath, and I sit back. Controlling his wrist, I drive his wrist to the mat. Okay? I notice that I'm driving back down to the low mount too here as I'm attacking. Elbow to his head. I want to drive my forehead to his elbow before I switch to this hand. I'm going to grab my own wrist. I bring his wrist tight. Everything's locked in tight, and I just wipe it back. Any questions? All right, let's try that.